Okay, let's just take this one thing at a time. We'll do it by the numbers. And that is George Lucas, good director or bad director with any movie. Well, let's look at the prequels. Look at the choices. Here's a case where George Lucas had everything he wanted. He had total control. He had all the power. He made all the decisions, final cuts, even in the editing room. He decided what shots had which special effects and how much and where and why and when. Written and directed by, executive produced by George Lucas. Star Wars, the prequels. Now, is George Lucas a good director? Does he make movies that are, by some metric or any metric, bad or good? Yes, sure. You could say by any book, by definition, depending on which book, whose definition, which starting point, where he started at. Yeah, George Lucas is a good director, or a great director, or a bad director, ham-fisted or whatever. But what you can't say is that George Lucas doesn't direct. George Lucas is a director, and George Lucas directed the prequels in the way he wanted them to be. George Lucas is the creator. George Lucas is the master of this universe, so to speak. This universe of Star Wars, episodes 1 through 6, and episodes 1 through 6, including the prequels, episodes 1 through 3. And then, of course, this is the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And the prequels, of course, tell the story of the beginning of Anakin Skywalker, and of Anakin Skywalker's family and his life growing up as a slave in the world that he grew up in, and then the world of the Republic. And this is the world of Star Wars, but it's the world of the universe in which these characters live. We see and we meet Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is the student at this time in this world, and we meet the master and the teacher, the Jedi, on Jed. And the prequels show us the Republic and the order of the Jedi and the culture of the Jedi and the society of the people, the political system of the day in which our characters lived and thrived, and then how they were where they were, what happened in this world in episode 4. And then we see through 5 and 6. And then this will be New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, The Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi. And these are the principal primary movies that we look at when we ask, is George Lucas a good director? Or is George Lucas a bad director? One, as we said, one thing you cannot deny, and one can deny is a fact. George Lucas is a director. He's a director. And then by any metric or whatever standard you use, however you're going to measure it, whatever definition, what's your starting point, what is your dictionary, then you can then say, well, according to this, George Lucas is this or that. But as to whether or not George Lucas made the movie and the movies that he wanted to make, I think we would all agree that the movies that he wanted to make are episodes 1 through 3. And the movies that he did make, mostly, according to his vision, mostly episodes 4 through 6. And this is the question that we're going to look at and see. And we see the prequels. Is George Lucas a good director? Well, how well did he tell his story? Let's look at it by any, as we said, any metric, any standard, anything, any definition you want to use. Just look up the word quality. Let me ask you, is it the quality picture George Lucas is writing? Is George Lucas telling us a story that is of some high resolution and deep and tactile texture and interesting pull and draw? Are we interested in staying in this world? Do we want to live and see this world more? Might we even want to live through one of these characters that we see? The cinematography, the lighting, the special effects. And here again we see, and we note this, that George Lucas is a director that does often create and invent special effects, ways to shoot using cameras and computers, even mechanical, all kinds of mechanical devices. Anything you can imagine, he will assemble a team as he needs to accomplish his goal, which is to tell the story. And in the prequels, he had a lot more options for special effects and so on. And then I know there's a lot of people out there that wanted to see this was a puppet, or they wanted to have, they needed more little puppets, and they wanted more claymation, whatever. Miniature sets, practical sets, whatever. But what they will look at when they see prequels, and they'll say, well, too many special effects, too much green screen, and blah, 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 yeah, whatever. Take a look at the originals. Man, they used so much stuff in that was ahead of its time. But yet, come on, man, really look at it. The special effects in the prequels are so much better. And not to mention, they're used absolutely perfectly to tell the story, to convey the power and the awesomeness of the weaponry they have. But not only that, the technology and the way they communicate. We draw from some of the holograms and the other types of transmissions that we see from the previous movies. And now we look back and we see these are still in operation, still in use. We see the predecessors to the X-Wing, so to speak. And then we also see these B-1 droids, the battle droids, and these are, of course, a more comical version of our stormtroopers that we had in episodes 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, in the prequels, now we have one of the most interesting characters and one of the funniest characters we've ever had in any of these episodes. And in fact, the funniest, absolutely, by design, according to George, Jar Jar Binks. And say what you will about Jar Jar Binks, whether you love him or you hate him. This is George Lucas, full control. And I do believe, and I have said this, and I do go on record as saying this, I do believe that George Lucas has written into this particular character his own self into the story, and also any person that has ever wanted to join in any Star Wars movie or adventure and just jump right in and be part of it. And that's my opinion on it. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But my opinion is that's what George has done. He's inserted a character through which any person can be in Star Wars that wants to. And so that's my opinion, and I'll be more than happy to explain it. You can read all about it in the books. I explain it all in the books. But these are deep concepts. The creator, the master creator, George, he has brought us these concepts and these truths. And we see these in the prequels developed through the relationship between the master and the teacher. And then we see the politics of the time in which they live, and the beginnings of the weaponry and the, as we call them in episodes 4, 5, and 6, the Empire. But now here it's the Republic, and they have no army. And then Attack of the Clones, they, of course, then vote to create this grand army, which is actually an army of clones, based on and created out of the DNA, so to speak, of Jango Fett, the bounty hunter. And then we meet Count Dooku, and we see another type of Jedi. This is the political idealist, and yet manipulator and liar, aspiring to be a Sith Lord, in my opinion, a very mysterious villain. And I think Dooku is one of George's greatest triumphs in cinema. And this is a character, as written, mysterious, intriguing, likable, and yet to be feared, or rather, empathized with, I should say, rather than likable. And so I want to congratulate George on that character as well. Lighting, music. We give all credit to John Williams on the music. Amazing score. Every music, every movie got better. This is the greatest music in any Star Wars that's ever been produced, ever been created by any director ever. John Williams combined with George Lucas. But you got to give credit to George here for writing the stories in the first place. And as John will watch these movies and then arrange and write these pieces and these original scores, it's amazing. It's magnificent. These two individuals, these two men are just amazing creators, and they've done amazing work together. And they did amazing work together on the prequels. And George, so far we see a lot of amazing work done on the prequels. You can read all about it in the books, but just keeping over the top of it. Say what you will about George Lucas. How about the editing? The Phantom Menace. Oh, grant. It's a bit choppy, and I will say it is all over the place with regard to tone, and also with regard to how the story is told from place to place. You'll be in one region, and then you'll be in another region, and then suddenly it's somewhat funny, and then you're jarred out of that seriousness into humorous to George R. And you've never seen any character of this nature before, where something very serious is happening, and then suddenly out of nowhere, it's straight out of Gilligan's Island. And we've never seen that before. Although, keep this in mind, although in the original trilogy, we did have R2-D2 and C-3PO. And I mean, come on. These two characters are straight out of Laurel and Hardy. Seriously. So, right. Jar Jar Binks, absolutely. Gilligan's Island in space, sure, great. But look, man, Jar Jar is truly designed to be one of the funniest characters, and he's truly designed to be jarring and possibly annoying in certain cases. And I have my opinions as to why that is.